Falls Count Everywhere podcast, we'd like to mention our friends at the following. We Talk Wrestling, for the one stuff you need for the most intriguing stories and headlines and info on independent shows in multiple regions. We Talk Wrestling has you covered. Subscribe to Facebook's #1 interactive community for professional wrestling today. Pro wrestling on Tuesdays are a blast with the Wrestle Talk podcast. Join the Night Owl, DJ Big Sexy, Luke Roberts, The Alpha, Jay Wade, Nightmare Jones, and many others as they bring you the hottest takes on the major circuits, showcase interviews with various indie stars, and the only place to get news on the most popular fantasy wrestling promotion, the FWWC. Catch them live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. Find all of their media outlets on their website at WrestleTalkPodcast.com. Before each and every show, we like to remind our audience that freedom is never free, and all of us should be grateful to those who lay it all on the line. To all our first responders, military, and volunteers that help our nation every day, we love you and appreciate the sacrifices you make to protect all of us. Get ready for episode number 97 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast as we welcome one of the strongest men to ever compete in the professional wrestling industry and wrestling at the Chase legend, Ken Patera. This podcast is scheduled for one episode where Falls Count Everywhere. Y'all, you barely ever hear me say this, but hey, good afternoon, everybody. For those who are watching us live, we are here live here on Sunday afternoon, a very special edition of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. And of course, we're at actually technically episode number 97.
Ooh, getting close.
We are getting very, very close to getting to those triple digits here. And I'll tell you another man who's really excited about that. To be part of all of this, of course, the man to my right, the Gem City Mouse, the Zmiz.
Thank you.
I know you're probably happy. Oh, you may be happy doing this on an afternoon because then you're going to have the evening to yourself. So,
I mean, it was weird last week not doing the show. And also, if we don't notice, you see who we got here? New figure. It is Omos. I have an Omos figure.
Man's taller than your microphone. That was my only giveaway with that.
It's really nice. Like AEW did something right for once. Is like they scaled their figures, right? So the wrestling figures are scaled, and WWE since they have been doing it too now. So like, because at one point all the wrestlers weren't scaled except for like Hornswoggle and some others, but like. Now they're physically scaling all their characters, and it's awesome.
I was gonna say if they had like a Swoggle figure and they put around like an Andre the Giant, and it's like about a 2-inch difference, like an inch difference on the figure.
That is a grail item of mine actually in the figure collecting community is a Hornswoggle, and Hornswoggle's not cheap either.
No, I wouldn't think so. Oh man. But no, another one. I kind of wonder what you're going to add next to your collection, but I know you got a list of others here.
Oh, I got so many figures to get, so many, and always I want Miz, of course. Like I need a collection of Miz, but they're upstairs. They're in sealed packages. They're not opened.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no reason to break them out just so you can hang them on your mic. I mean, unless you put a hanger on your bar. They just let it hang there for the base. Oh, man. Well, we're just getting stupid here. We want to say good afternoon here to Mr. Herb Simmons, who is watching us on the podcast. We thank you very much for doing that here, sir. Of course, for those who are wanting to make sure to leave your comments and your participation, make sure you're doing that here in our chat. And, of course, we'd love to interact with all of you. And, of course, our featured guest here will be he will be our featured guest here very momentarily. We got just a few things to cut out of the way here first, but we got a lot of things going on. After the interview, we're going to have some other tidbits here for you, especially some of our weekly features that we do here on the podcast. And stick around for that after the interview, and then of course maybe some other news we're going to get into here. We got definitely a full show for you here this afternoon. But before we get into the interview with our featured guest of the evening, we've got this here for you. So make sure to pay attention here to the screen. We'll be back live here in about 2 minutes 45 seconds. But stay tuned, and we'll be right back with your featured guest. Check out these great shows and appearances coming to a city near you. This Saturday, April 22nd, the stars of American Championship Wrestling return to the VFW Post in Melville, Missouri at 6327 Lee May Ferry Road. Doors open at 5, bell time is at 6. All tickets are just $6. Visit acwtheshow.ticketleap.com to get your tickets in advance or get them at the door on the day of the event. Also this Saturday, April 22nd, Illinois Elite Wrestling presents Aftermath. Don't miss the epic showdown between War with Larry Wolf in his corner, facing off against P.T. Beckham with Douglas O'Shea in his corner. Doors open at 5, bell time is at 6. Tickets for adults are just $12, $15 at the door. Kids tickets are just $5. Kids 5 and under are free. Visit IllinoisEliteWrestling.ticketleap.com on how you can get your tickets today. Saturday, April 29th, IWA Productions returns to Mount Vernon, Illinois with 3 huge matches. Don't miss Sid Holler defending his heavyweight championship against Dexter Roswell, plus more great action. Doors open at 6, bell time is at 7. Door pricing for front row tickets are $12. General admission is $7. Save $2 by getting them in advance at the Ringside Buffet Restaurant. Don't miss out on your chance to meet Rough Cut Rick Ruby and the Gem City Mount Zmiz at the OzCon Gaming Convention on Saturday, April 29th between 1 and 5 p.m. down in West Plains, Missouri, presented by Heart of the Ozarks Wrestling League. Come by and say hi to your host of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Saturday, May 6th, Tri-State Wrestling presents Sliced Bread Slam at the Sliced Bread Convention Center in Chillicothe, Missouri. Main event is Luke Longley defending the TSW Championship against the Iceman. Doors open at 6, bell time is at 7. Only 100 tickets available for this event. Get your tickets now before you miss out. Saturday, May 6th, World League Wrestling presents the Door to Destiny Rumble at the Harley Race Arena in Troy, Missouri. Doors open at 6, bell time is at 7. Tickets starting at just $20. Visit HarleyRace.com for more information on how to get your tickets for this awesome event. Don't miss what's sure to be the biggest event in the Midwest for 2023 as SICW presents the Legends and Stars Fan Fest, St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and wrestling card on Saturday, May 13th. The all-day event starts at 10 a.m. with a chance to meet over 40 legends and stars, St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony tentatively at 6 p.m., and the wrestling card to follow afterwards, where the Larry Madison, Bruiser Brody, and Tony Costa Memorial Battle Royal will take place. The main event is for the SICW Classic Championship, where Attila Khan will defend the title against the Big Texan in a Texas Death Rules match. Visit SICW.org to get your tickets for this once-in-a-lifetime event today. Remember, fans, without you, there is no wrestling. Make sure you visit these shows and support your local promotion today.
I really like the video style.
Yes. Yeah, it cuts down a lot of time too, don't it?
So nice. You do so well, Ruby. You
I
guys,
just love how I had the tools where I can almost sound like the Micro Machines guy. I can speed up really. I'm not going to go too fast to where people are like, God, what the heck would make everybody go in a manic craze?
No,
like,
but seriously, okay, breaking the wall, and Ruby might get mad at me, and I might hear it in the green room later. Ruby's been hard on himself about things and like getting everything ready, making sure he's ready for our great guest today, Ken. And he gets down on himself sometimes, and he got to let loose last night and get some steam off in the GTA world. And take care of yourself, Ruby. You do a good job. Pat yourself on the back. Give us a standing ovation right now for Ruby, guys. Get the claps in the comment section. Thank you, Ruby, for all you do for us.
Yeah, I get a little difficult to myself at times, but it's what it is. That's if you don't progress further and get better, then where are you going to go from there? So,
no, you're just a testament, man. That's all.
Hey, it is what it is. Yes. He's throwing it up there.
Yeah, look at that.
Like,
The
he's
other
throwing it up there.
my cohort for next week, the 22nd, right? Yeah,
Yes,
Illinois
yes,
Elite Wrestling.
22nd. Right. You'll
Finally,
be
PT takes down that dude named War. War's at a Battlehawks game right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, he is?
I
Oh my
think.
goodness. There's a lot of people downtown right now in St. Louis, and it's pretty hectic. So, um, well, let's see here. Um, I think we got pretty much just about everything lined up here as best we can, and but I'm really excited here because we're now technically less than 4 weeks away from this big event. We're going to be talking about that later, but May 13th is like one of the biggest starred uh days to put on the calendar for the year of 2023. And our guest this afternoon will be part of that as part of the over 40 legends and stars that will be here. And this guy is definitely a legend. Before getting into the wrestling, he uh, basically muscled his way to stardom, going into weightlifting, going to strongman competitions, and then, of course, also making himself a legend in the world of wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, I give to you the one and the only legendary Olympic strongman himself, Mr. Ken Patera. All right, Ken, how you doing, sir?
Just fine. I appreciate you guys getting me on the internet here.
We try our best. Hopefully, things
falls count everywhere.
Yeah, falls count everywhere. That's right. We're trying to go everywhere we can to make sure our show counts to where it is, and we definitely want to showcase the people that have either hardworking today or done in the past, paving the way for guys like us, especially around here, where you definitely made your name around the wrestling the Chase era and in the St. Louis Wrestling Club era with Sam Munchnick, and of course also in Central States with Bob Geigel, and then going back further to other territories. So um, we were just, me and Kim were basically talking a little bit before we got on here today about our weather woes, and I'll tell you what, he's up in the state of Minnesota where they're still getting snow. By the way, Z.
Yeah, we got 4 or 5 inches last night.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I told him to say, hey, I rather would have been around that than having like tornadoes touching around me.
I live in Quincy. Nothing. We had it was so bad. The weather, like 2 weeks ago, they canceled school, right? So they shortened school, and then no storm. Nothing happened here. Literally nothing. The whole storm went around us. So anytime like something good happens for Quincy when it comes to the storm, because I'm a storm guy. I like to sit outside, watch that storm. I'm full Midwest. Like if there's a picture of that Midwest boy sitting outside watching a storm, I am that guy, 100%. And nothing came of it. So, but we had the perfect week of weather this week. Like every day was just top notch, beautiful, clean, crisp. It was awesome.
Well, up here in northern Minnesota, we 2 days in a row was 90 degrees.
Woo!
Yeah, no shit. Wednesday and Thursday, I think it was. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
90. It's been 80 degrees here all week. Like nice, brisk 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather. Like
maybe it was 80 degrees. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was 80 degrees. No, one day it did hit 90.
It might. I mean, I'm not much of a. Once it gets hits 90, I'm out of it. Like, give me air conditioning.
Yeah. Well, I still had 3-4 foot of snow outside my door. that warm weather took care of that. Yeah.
I was gonna say nothing about some Minnesota unless it's 90 or above. So
yeah. It's nuts. It's either 20 below or 90 above.
And I complained about the weather, worried about how we're going to get sick. Oh my gosh. I could imagine 90 on one day, and then all of a sudden you got 4 or 5 inches last night or yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
I don't know. I mean, people have to stay on a vitamin regimen or else they're going to get pneumonia with before they know it.
It's all about teas, Ruby. You know that. It's all about teas.
Yeah, all about the herbs, all about the teas. Yes, I know. Yes, and I'm trying. I'm trying. Trust me, I am. but but we're all comfy. We're on our chairs. We're blessed to be in our homes at the comfort with whatever we feel comfortable with. And we're here this afternoon, and we're going to go ahead and get things started here with our featured guest here once again, Mr. Ken Patera, of course, a legendary name throughout wrestling, not just in wrestling, but starting off here. Before before that, of course, Olympic weightlifter, and then also he was he also participated in strongman competitions here. And actually, my first question is actually going to be in that field here for you, Ken. So I seen like all these different like competitions like back when I was watching, like pulling trucks, carrying barrels, keg barrels, or whatever the case may be. But they've just done something, or just like a like a tractor pull where you have to just pull like a semi. I mean, just nuts. A lot of these things are just insane. But when you were back competing, out of the events that you competed in, which one was easy for you to master? And then which one was kind of tough for you to conquer to get just even to kind of get through it?
I'm sorry, my audio was going down when you asked that question.
Okay, no, it's okay. Question? All right, if you're able to hear me, okay, I'll go ahead and repeat that here for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're talking about the strongman competition. So when you were competing in the strongman, which event was easy for you to master, and then which event was kind of tough for you to conquer, like you barely got through it?
Well, I'll tell you something, that came up on a whim. They had never done the strongman contest that time, so this was the inaugural rollout of the world's strongest or world strongman contest. They had a couple different names. They weren't even set on a name for the damn thing yet. But, yeah, I'm not kidding. A friend of mine, Harold Connolly, is the one that put the whole thing together. He won a gold medal at the Olympic Games down in Melbourne, Australia in 1956. And when he got back, he started teaching school in Southern California. He was an English teacher. And so anyway, he had been bumping around with this strongman contest concept in his head for, Jesus, I don't know, 15 years or so. Because he had called me a couple times. He was originally from Long Island, New York. And so anyway, that's where I originally met him. I was at a weightlifting contest, junior national weightlifting championships out on Long Island, and he lived out there, and he was home for the weekend, so he came by and introduced himself. That would have been in 1971. So I had known Harold for quite a while, and I was kind of interested in throwing the hammer myself. But at that time, I was, fourth in the world in the shot put, and I was pretty high up in the discus throw. But I was always looking for other things to do, besides being an Olympic weightlifter. So I lifted weights about 6 months a year. Everybody else was doing it 12 months a year. And then I started lifting weights when I was 10 years old, but it was a 110-pound house weight set. And I messed around with that little thing for, I don't know, till I was 14, 15 years old. And, I was playing football and whatnot. But I had three brothers. Two of them played in the NFL. My oldest brother, Jack, wound up being the head coach, the first head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. And prior to that, he was living here in Minnesota, and he was defensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings. And he was voted in the early 70s defensive coach of the year. And then in, I want to say 78 or 79, he was voted NFL head coach of the year, along with Dick Vermeil. And I think Dick was coaching the Philadelphia Eagles at the time. So my brother had a hell of a career. But anyway, let's get back. I'm wandering all over the place.
No, you're good. You're good.
That's what it's all
But
about.
anyway,
Sometimes.
get back to the strongman contest. Like I was lifting weights 6 months out of the year. I was track and field 6 months a year. I was all over the place. I mean, Jesus. And because I wanted to do so much stuff, and you only had so many, months out of the year to get everything in. And finally, I just stopped throwing the shot put, and I just started concentrating on weightlifting. And that would have been in 68. And the way I wound up on Long Island, New York, Junior Weightlifting Nationals, I won that first time I ever entered it. Set, 6 or 7 national records. And so I was off to the races. I was loving it. And then I did throw the shot a couple times after that, but yeah, I didn't concentrate on it or anything, because I knew my future was in weightlifting, becoming the world's strongest man. And I accomplished that. Unfortunately, right after that, I hurt my knee. And now I was almost 2 years out from the 72 Olympic Games. And so I hobbled into Munich, Germany on one knee. And it really pissed me off. The Olympics were only every 4 years. If you get, and I have friends in other sports that ran into injuries and stuff, which bumped them out of the Olympic Games. And so I'm sitting there and I say, Jesus, I wound up third in the military press at that time in 1972. I was favored to win the gold medal. It was either Vasily Alexiev, that big, fat, stupid Russian, or Ken Patera. Either one of us going to win that gold medal in weightlifting. And unfortunately, he won. And but I had a future. I was going to become a professional wrestler, come hell or high water, right after the 72 Olympic Games. And so I was already set up with Vern Gagne up here in Minnesota. And so when I got back from Munich, Germany, and the Olympic Games, my roommate, you'll never guess who my roommate was.
Who?
Want to take a guess?
If you're up in Minnesota, in the 70s, I'm trying to think. Where
I wasn't even a thought in the 70s, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I get that. I don't know. So we would have to think up north, wouldn't we? Around AWA territories, wouldn't we? Because
I'll cut to the chase. My roommate at that time was Ric Flair.
oh my gosh, how could I forget?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's where he was also started. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, our training camp with Vern Gagne it consisted of Greg Gagne, Jumpin' Jimmy Brunzell,
Mm-hmm.
a kid by the name of Bob Bruggers, and then a kid from Iran, Khosrow Vaziri, the Iron Sheik,
Yep.
Ric Flair, and Ken Patera. That's me. I mean, we had a hell of a training camp.
That's a class right there, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but when you look, everybody that came out of that camp became a main eventer, and so we had a hell. I mean, we kicked the shit out of each other every goddamn day. We didn't take any prisoners. Yeah, balls through the wall every day.
WWE's actually getting ready to do their Legends biography thing. Did you see that on Iron Sheik?
What's that now?
You're talking about on A&E.
A&E has WWE has a thing on A&E, a show where it's called WWE Legends. And is it this week's or was it coming up?
It may be this week's. I'll have to research that.
One of the upcoming episodes is the biography of Iron Sheik, and I can't wait to watch that. We need more things about him, actually. One of the greatest heels.
Oh, what a character! I'll tell you a funny story about Khosrow. First time I ever met him was the first day of training camp, 1972. And I'd been back from the Olympic Games for maybe 2 weeks at that time. And so, everybody, we were in a big circle in the ring. Everybody, introduced themselves to the other people in the wrestling class. And Khosrow is his real name. I always called him Khosrow Vaziri. And Khosrow couldn't speak English that well. And he was going to the University of Minnesota, but I think he played racquetball all the time. I don't know if he ever went to class. And so anyway, we were out there at training camp. Where the hell? Just a minute. I got about 10 other things going through my head right now.
Yeah, you're good.
We'll get through this. I swear. So anyway, oh yeah. After about a month, after training camp every day, we went 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. So after training camp, we'd all go home, get cleaned up, and go out on the town. So Rick and I were living together at the time, and we'd go out and get all slopped up and everything. So anyway, I heard that Khosrow, this is several months after that, Khosrow started drinking beer. Now, here's a nice Muslim boy right from Iran, and I heard, Khosrow, you drink beer? Heineken. I said, you like Heineken beer? Yes, very good. I said, okay. About a month or two after that, I heard that he was smoking cigarettes. And I went over to him. I said, Khosrow, I hear you smoke Marlboro cigarettes. Oh, yes, tobacco, very good, very good. He said, okay. You're drinking beer, smoking cigarettes. Are you getting any pussy yet? And he says, pussy. Oh, yeah, me like pussy. I says, holy Christ. I said, you're well on your way. I says, you are becoming Americanized. And And he said, "What's that?" I said, "You are becoming an American." "Oh yeah, me. I want to be American." I said, "Well, you're well on your way. You're drinking, you're smoking, you're chasing pussy. You got it in the bag, brother." Yeah, so that was because when Cosgrove come over here, he was straight laced. I mean, got down on his hands and knees, said his prayers every day, like 7 days a week. And then this is what I'm imagining in my head. Then I find out that he's actually a Christian. He's not a Muslim at all. that joke was on me. I said, "Cosgrove, I thought that you were always a Muslim." He said, "No. My family's Christian." I said, "Oh, okay. I understand now. I understand why you drink, smoke, and chase pussy." He says, "Yes, very good." He was very agreeable. But yeah, those were the days, my friend. God, what a training camp! 6 hours a day.
That's
It was brutal. For those fans that heard about our training camp back in those days, back in 1972, it's all true. It's all true. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So between the power sports and becoming the world's strongest man, and now going through training camp, all that kind of stuff, injuries do build up. You already briefly touched about the knee going into the Olympics and stuff. What was one of the worst injuries you had that you had to, overcome or get through, or how'd that process go, having that injury?
Oh, wow. I had, let's see. I detached the tricep tendon on this.
Oh man.
I popped that off. I was in a cast for about 8 weeks, and that they had to surgically go in there and take the tendon, because the tendon had completely popped off the bone.
Oh.
And they had to bring the tendon down. The tendon usually attached up here, but they had to bring it down about there. So they had to stretch the shit out of it. They drilled a hole in the ulna right here, and
yes,
put the tendon through that hole and stapled it. I don't know how many staples they put in there, but my whole tricep, all 3 heads of my tricep, it just exploded.
Oh my God.
And my surgeon says, "Ken, this is an offensive lineman type of injury." Because when after the ball is hiked, the offensive linemen have to back up and fend off the defensive players that are trying to get to the quarterback. And that's a common injury in pro football. Back then it was. I don't know if it still is. It probably still is. But anyway, he had done about 300 of those type of surgeries. He says, "Ken, that injury of yours, that's the worst one I've ever seen." He says, "I don't know how you're going to come back from that." He said, "I'll tell you the truth. I'll give you 50-50 chance of total recovery." And I said, "Shit, that doesn't sound good, doc." Anyway, I made 110% recovery. I have better extension on that arm than I do on my other one. Figure that out. I don't know.
Doc did you good. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So anyway, that was probably the worst injury. Next to the knee. The knee injury in reality was the worst. But,
I mean, some of those, like, it doesn't matter like how bad the actual injury itself initially is to the area. Sometimes it gets psychologically distorted too on some parts, doesn't it?
Yeah. Then I injured my back several times. before I went out to that strongman contest, the first one, you know, that 1970, what was that, 76, 77, 1977, I think it was.
Right.
And that was held at Universal Studios in North Hollywood, California. And
Strongman was one of my favorite things to watch as a kid.
yeah,
Like, I was a huge fan of Mark Henry coming into WWE when he came at that age. You know, because I grew up in that era of wrestling. That was the era I grew up in.
yeah, right. Well, you're
watching.
just a punk ass kid, man.
Yeah, I'm just a young buck.
Yeah. So anyway, I had hurt my back, and as a matter of fact, I had re-injured that damn knee wrestling Bobby Backlund at the Boston Garden 2 weeks prior to that strongman contest. And I said, how in the hell am I going to get through this? I bummed out my back. My knee is swollen up the size of a football. I says, I'm going to win that damn thing anyway. Well, I took third. They had 10 events. I was only able to compete in 5 of them. The other 5 events, I just, walked through because, I was obligated to the event because of my buddy, Harold Conley. I was the first one that he called to set that whole thing up. So this was a year in advance. And I told him, I said, Harold, strongman contest, I haven't lifted heavy weights in 4 or 5 years. Yeah, but you can do it, Ken. You're naturally strong. And I said, yeah, but I'm a professional wrestler. I'm on the road every goddamn day. I'm not going to be able to train for this thing. I said, everybody else in it, they're all going to be training and everything. And so anyway, not making excuses, but I went along with it and wound up third. I beat the Hulk, though.
Oh, yeah, terrible layout.
Lou Ferrigno.
No, yeah, Lou. Yeah.
Oh, the other
he's
guy.
talking about the actual Hulk.
Oh, yeah, the green guy.
Remember the TV series? Yeah, that was Lou Ferrigno. Lou was a great guy, and he was perfect for that because he's 6'5", about 280, and ripped. He's a bodybuilder. And so that was quite an experience. And the guy that put that together was Bill Bixby. And he did 4 or 5 other TV series. And he was just a little tiny guy, 5'6", maybe 140 pounds. But he just loved big people, especially if they're big and strong and ugly.
Yeah, well, he may be small, but don't get him angry. So.
Yeah, but anyway, Bill did a good job on that. But like I say, it was the first year of that type of competition, and there are 10 events, and they didn't even have all 10 events. They hadn't really thought the whole thing through. So I mean, we were all winging it. I guess there was a few people that knew what the format was going to be, and they actually went out and purchased equipment that would simulate what we had to do in the contest. And I didn't do shit.
But you were training the whole time throwing Bob Backlund around.
Yeah. I was trying to beat Bobby Backlund up in Boston Garden, blew my knee out, and it was during the lumberjack match where the other wrestlers are all the way around the ring. And so if you got thrown out of the ring, the other wrestlers would throw you back in the ring. And I took a bad bump. Oh, man. So anyway, I said, if I didn't have bad luck I wouldn't have any luck at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I say that from time to time.
Yeah, yeah.
Things not going my way. So, um,
How much time? How much time do we have?
well, I mean, we've got whatever time that you're able to share.
I'll go another hour if you want.
Yeah, I mean that'll be great. I mean,
Yeah,
we got this decent list. We got the decent list of questions here. If I could talk right, holy cow! Um, uh, about about I mean, panning over, your entire story here. We've got some things that we want to point out, but so you mentioned earlier about you had determined that you were going to become a professional wrestler after the Summer Games in Munich. And you say you've talked with Vern Gagne. So
yeah.
how did how did that conversation approach whenever you were competing and you wanted to become a wrestler? So how did that approach go to Vern Gagne getting into the school?
Well, as I told you, my brother Jack Patera, he was defensive coach for the Minnesota Vikings
Right.
back in those days. So I had been at the World Weightlifting Championships in Columbus, Ohio. And so I was on my way back to Portland. And so I detoured into Minneapolis here. And I stayed with my brother for about 7-8 days. And we were talking one day, and he says, "Ken, what do you want to do after the Olympic Games are over?" I said, "Well, I'm going to be a professional wrestler." He said, "Really?" He said, "That's not a bad idea." He says, I know half a dozen pro football players. They play football, and then during the off season, they're professional wrestlers. And so he said, "Do you have any contacts to get into wrestling?" And I said, "Well, a few guys back in Portland, Oregon." I grew up in Portland, Oregon. And he said, "Well, I know the promoter here in Minneapolis. His name's Vern Gagne." I said, "Vern Gagne? I've never heard of him." Yeah, because back in those days, everything was regional.
Right. Yeah, territorial.
Every region of the country had their own world champion.
Right.
At that time, there was about 18 different regions that had their own wrestling promotion. Whether it be down in the South, Southeast, Upper East Coast, Crockett Promotions in the Mid-Atlantic. Vern Gagne up here in the Midwest, and then I don't remember them all. But anyway, he said, "Do you want to talk to Vern Gagne?" And yeah, I'll do that. So my brother, Bud Grant, was the head coach for the Minnesota Vikings at that time. And he had gone to the University of Minnesota, and one of his classmates was Vern Gagne. And Vern wrestled and played football for the university, and Bud played basketball and football. And they were pretty good friends. So anyway, my brother calls Bud and gets Vern's phone number. So I called Vern, and they had a wrestling office downtown Minneapolis in the old Dykeman Hotel. It doesn't exist anymore. They tore it down. But anyway, I called Vern, told him who I was and everything. So he invited me to come down for a meeting. So a couple days later, my brother took me down to the wrestling office, and I introduced myself to Vern Gagne. And next thing I know, I turn around. There's the Crusher, the Mad Dog, Eduardo Carpentier, a few other wrestlers. And they were all in the wrestling office picking up their paycheck for the week. And so anyway, Vern introduced me to all those guys. And then we sit down and we start talking about what I had to offer professional wrestling. I said, well, right now I'm training for the Pan American Games and the Olympic Games and in weightlifting. Well, what makes you think you're going to do anything in the Pan American Games and Olympic Games? Well, I said, I'm considered the strongest guy in the world right now in super heavyweight. And I says, I think I'll do pretty good. Well, what makes you think you're going to be able to make it in professional wrestling? I said, well, I don't know if I'll be able to make it in professional wrestling, but I'll sure in the hell try. And I said, that's something I've wanted to do, my whole life. I started watching wrestling on TV when I was 10 years old. And he said, okay. And he says, have you done anything in weightlifting recently? I said, well, I hold, right at this time, I hold 34 national and international weightlifting records. And I'm probably going to wind up being the first one to ever lift 500 pounds overhead. Oh, really? I said, yeah, really. I said, I've done it a half a dozen times in practice. And so I think I'm going to be able to do it. And I was able to do it. Later that year, as a matter of fact, I was in a weightlifting meet just outside of Seattle, Washington, and I clean and jerked 503 pounds to become the world record at that time was 486 by an American Bob Benarski. But yeah, so Vern says, okay. He says, what can I do for you now? I said, well, I'm glad you asked me. He said, as you know, you were an amateur athlete in this United States when you were younger. No money. I says, I need a sponsor. And back in 1970 or 71, January 71, he said, this is what I'll do. You sign a contract with me. So after the Olympic Games, whether you win or not, doesn't matter. I want you to, when we get back from Munich, I want you to become a professional wrestler under my tutelage. I'll be your promoter and booker. I'll get you going. And so, how much do you need? I said $100 a week would be fantastic. And he said, $100 a week, you got it. So his right-hand man, Wally Carbo, his desk was right next to Vern's. He was the money man. He looked at Wally. He said, Wally, cut Ken Patera a check for $100. Mark it down that he gets $100 a week until he gets back from the Olympic Games. And Wally says, okay, you got it. So that's how all that's set up. I was an amateur athlete. I wasn't supposed to get any money. You're just supposed to fucking starve in this country. That's how they had it all set up. An amateur athlete back in those days, if you took 10 cents from anybody, they'd literally kick you out of the Olympics. They would kick you off the Olympic team. They wouldn't even let you compete. That was how archaic it was back in a lot of people don't realize that, because amateur athletes now, the top ones, they can make $500,000 to $1 million a year, competing in these meets and sponsorships and whatnot. So, but I know a few other guys that were getting money. Al Orator, he was a discus thrower. he was getting about 50,000 a year over on the European circuit, for throwing the discus. He was the only guy in Olympic history to win 4 gold medals in the same event. He won in 56, 60, 64, and 68. Every Olympics he competed in, he won the gold medal.
Wow.
And so, he was about 8 years older than me, maybe 10. But I was friends with Al, and he was a good guy. And yeah. So that was that. So I got back from Munich, Germany, with a bum knee and no gold medal, and started training camp with the guys that I'd mentioned.
So then during that time, after all that time, you then moved to NWA and compete in the territories and the NWA territory. Who was like the toughest guy there, you think? Or who was the alpha male in that world for you?
In the NWA?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. There were a lot of them. At that time, well, I went from AWA in Minneapolis down to NWA in Dallas, Texas. And the Dallas territory was run out of Dallas, Texas. But then you'd have Fort Worth on Monday. Dallas ran on Tuesday. Wednesday was San Antonio. Thursday, Corpus Christi. And every Friday you'd be in Houston at the Sam Houston Coliseum. And then on Saturday, we'd be coming back from Houston, and we'd stop at Killeen, Texas. Killeen had the Fort Hood military base. And they had a little gym in there that would hold maybe 300 people. And so we'd wrestle there every Saturday. And after that show, we'd come back. We had every Sunday off. We didn't work on Sunday down there. But as far as, God, I can't even, there was a lot of talent. I'm just drawing a blank right now, I'll tell you the truth.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So in that time of the NWA days, who was your toughest opponents then?
Oh, well, in Dallas, Texas, it was superstar Billy Graham. And superstar wasn't working the territory. He was still wrestling up here for Vern Gagne in the AWA. But the way that happened, Billy and I had done a couple angles. First one was arm wrestling, and the second one was weightlifting right in the middle of the ring. And so we sold out everywhere up here in the Midwest, whether it be Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chicago, Green Bay, Milwaukee, Omaha, Winnipeg, Canada, Denver, Colorado, San Francisco was on our radar. We went out there about 6 times a year to the old Cow Palace. And then we go down to Phoenix, Arizona. And so we had all the major cities. We had sellouts everywhere. And so Fritz von Erich, he was NWA champion down there in Dallas. And he was also the promoter in the Dallas area. And so he asked me what I would like to do, as far as angles. I said, well, is there any way that we could get superstar Billy Graham to come in? It doesn't have to be weekly, like every other week or so. Oh, absolutely. He said, tell you the truth, I've already set it up. He says, I'm way ahead of you. He says, I know about the arm wrestling. I know about the weightlifting. And after all those, we'll have lumberjack matches. We'll do everything. We sold out every town in his territory. I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times. I mean, that whole thing went for about 5 or 6 months. Sold sellouts everywhere. And
awesome.
Then it was time to leave, and I went from there to Georgia Championship Wrestling. And that was a disaster. And so I only stayed there 4 months. Wow. And then I said, I got to get the hell out of here. Yeah. So I called Ric Flair. Rick was up working for Jim Crockett Promotions in Charlotte. And so I called Rick, and we were shooting the shit. He said, Kenny, get the hell out of that Georgia. You can't make a living down there. Come up here to Charlotte. He says, I'll talk to the promoter, Jim Crockett. I'll talk to George Scott. He's the booker. I'll talk to Wahoo McDaniel, a few other guys, Johnny Valentine. He said, we'll get you up here and make you some money. Well, I went up there, started making like $80,000 a year.
Holy cow.
Nice.
Yeah, back in those days.
Yes.
And we were all doing, and then the second year I was there, I did 105,000.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
that's big money
in
back in
Georgia
those
at
days.
that time were making 25 to 35,000. And the guys out in Dallas, the top guys, well, like when Billy and I ran those angles out there, we're making around 2,000 a week. So, but that was territory that was, monthly. You do like 5, 6 months of great business, during the warm months, and come school time, come fall, boy, the territory just went in the shitter. So, and that's when I left. That's when I went to Georgia. Well, they were even worse than Dallas. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I went up to Charlotte, Mid-Atlantic territory.
Right.
And fat my bank account. So, yeah, so that was good. And then when I left Charlotte, oh God, 1.5, 2 years, I can't remember exactly. Then I went to work for Bill Watts out in Oklahoma territory.
Right.
And Bill was just getting that thing going. Within 5 months, we had that thing red hot. I mean, it was Dirty Dick Murdoch, Killer Carl Cox, Jose Lothario. I mean, we had a hell of a crew out there. And Colonel Buck Robley. Yeah, we set that place on fire. It was unbelievable. And that was, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Shreveport, Louisiana, Baton Rouge. The biggest city, of course, was New Orleans. Then we go up to Jackson, Mississippi. And see, all those southern territories, every week, you work the towns every week. Up here in the north, like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chicago, Milwaukee, all those towns, once a month. And but that's all you needed. Hell, we sell out everywhere. You're in big arenas, all the way to from 14 to 20,000 people a show. We're selling them all out. So yeah. that was fun. Yeah,
that was fun. And I know we may be skipping ahead here in a little bit of the timeline because I know when I was looking at your history, I know like so it did seem like you had that short stint of Georgia Championship Wrestling was there, and then you went right to Mid Atlantic, of course, winning their heavyweight title, and then having some time in there. But then you also eventually got down here to the St. Louis Wrestling Club with Sam. And it was kind of interesting because with that, around that time, you got down with working with St. Louis Wrestling Club, and then also you got to work for Vince McMahon Sr., right? Going back up in New York.
Yeah.
Around the same time. And it was kind of interesting because it's almost kind of like unheard of to where some type of territories like that, especially working with New York and then also with conjunction with the NWA, we're almost upon the anniversary of like one of the biggest weeks you have, because you went and won. You were the first one to win the Intercontinental title off of Pat Patterson. So you won that in MSG, Madison Square Garden. Then you come back down here 4 days later in April 1980. You defeat Kevin Von Erich for the Missouri State title.
Yeah, I was the only one to ever hold those two belts at the same time.
Right.
That's
you
crazy.
did that. So you did that for a period of 210 days. So that's like over 7 months, or roughly around 7 months. So my question here with that is, how was the working relationship between Vince Sr. and Sam trying to get you to book you for their shows, and how were you able to focus on your upcoming separate matches, defending your title in each one of those respective territories?
Well, it was easy to focus because money talks about bullshit. I was making a fucking ton of money. And so it was easy. I loved working with Sam Mushnick. I just loved it. And working for old man Vince up there in the WWF, Madison Square Garden, the home base of the WWF at the time. And another guy I liked working with, Paul Bosch. He was the promoter down Sam Houston Coliseum,
right,
in Houston, Texas. Between those three guys, they took care of me. I was a hell of a talent, and I was always early. I was the first one in the building, last one to leave, regardless where I was on the card. Well, I was mainly main event everywhere. And they loved Ken Patera. Well, one of the reasons they liked me because I had credentials. I'd been in the Olympic Games, the Pan American Games, World Championships, and I was easy to get along with. I never bullshitted those guys. The only guy ended up, after my wrestling career, the only guy I talked ill about was the asshole that runs the WWF now. He his name Vince McMahon, yeah. But I loved working for his father. His father was a real diplomat, and I was good friends with Vince Jr. in the beginning for 2-3 years. We got along great, maybe 4 years, and then he was a ruthless son of a bitch, ruthless. And I'm not going to go into all the personal tribulations, but yeah, he went from a top-notch kid to a fucking asshole. And so I left there. That when I walked out of the WWF in 1988, Survivor Series, I think was my last match.
Yeah,
or was it SummerSlam?
It was SummerSlam '88. Bad News.
Yeah, SummerSlam. Yeah, and so after that, prior to that, I told about 6 months before that, before I actually quit, I went into the office and I told Vince, I said, Vince, I said, we've been friends for a long time. The last year, we haven't been friends. It's just a working relationship. You're the boss. I'm just some fucking jabroni like everybody else, like everybody else around here. I said, I got 6 months to SummerSlam. I don't give a shit if I win another match. If you want me to put guys over, I'll do it right in the middle of the ring, make it nice and clean. And so there's no, bullshit going on. I said, you want me to put over Bad News Brown, King Kong Bundy, Big Boss Man, even the Red Rooster, Terry Taylor, the Red Rooster. I put him over right in the middle of the ring after about 5 minutes in Boston Garden. You know what the response was? Bullshit. 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 I started laughing so fucking hard. I mean, the Red Rooster's going to beat Ken Patera in the middle of the ring in Boston Garden. I don't think so, but I did it, because I didn't want to win a match. I didn't win another match for 6 straight months. I got blisters on my back. So anyway.
taking too many falls, right?
Yeah. Every night was a job. I turned into the number one jobber in the history of pro wrestling. And so I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I mean, shit, Besides getting screwed by the promotion up there, my pay, I was making like $30,000 a month. I had a couple months where I was like $45,000 a month. And next thing I know, I'm looking at my fucking paychecks. $1,200, $2,500 a week. Well, shit, after expenses, your expenses were $200 a day. 7 days at 14. So I was some weeks I didn't even break even. I was minus.
Damn.
And because every night I had everybody took $200 and $300 draws, so that would come off your weekly check at the end of each week.
So keeping with conversations here on this, you go into losing your NWA Missouri State's title for the second time at Sam Muchnick's retirement show in January 1st of 1982. in front of
a Checker Dome.
Yes, packed Checker Dome.
Yeah.
God dang it! Now you made me lose my spot. At the Checker Dome. What can you recall about the match with Dick the Bruiser, and how did Sam feel honored about that by the end of the night?
Oh, Sam was elated. Sam was a legend down there in St. Louis. He knew all the politicians, all the multi-millionaire business people. He was the king of St. Louis. I mean, he walked to his own beat. And Sam Mushnick, I don't know how anybody could say a bad word about Sam Mushnick, because he was just a great guy. He treated everybody fairly. He treated everybody the way that he wanted them to treat him. I mean, he was just a stand-up guy. And the guy I mentioned earlier, Paul Bosch, down there in Houston, that they were two of a kind. And so you couldn't find better guys. Vince McMahon, the original Vince McMahon, those three guys were all buddies. Vince McMahon, Sam Mushnick, Paul Bosch. They're all three great guys, and they were great friends. And I had the honor of having dinner with those three guys on a couple different occasions. Just the four of us. And so it was a beautiful thing. It was great. I got along with all the promoters, and I never had so some people said, "Hey, who were the biggest assholes in the locker room?" I said, "Well, when I wrestled for those 17 years, there were no ass." Well, I take that back. There's two guys that I didn't get along with, and I can't even remember their names. I think they're dead now. Anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, it was a great time to be a professional wrestler, and of course, we had our ups and downs. Business wasn't always ice cream and chocolate cake, and so it's not like today. I don't even know what today's wrestling is. I don't get it. I watch it. I watched WrestleMania a couple weeks ago. That's the first time and the reason I watched it because it was on Peacock Network and it was free. That's what I swear to God. I watched it by myself. Yeah, my kids were gone, and the weather was the shits outside.
Okay, so I'm gonna go off topic real quick because we're talking about WrestleMania. How was watching Gunther, Drew, and Sheamus then? Because for me, that match felt very, very old school wrestling, and like what wrestling was and what it meant to be. Those guys were hitting each other, and it was just a beautiful match. And that's still my favorite match of the whole week.
Who was it now?
Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre.
Oh, yeah. The three-way. Yeah, that was an excellent match. The way they built it up, and there was a nice flow to it. And, I'd say that was the number one match of the night. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that's right. You heard it here.
Yeah, that was one of the matches I really enjoyed. That girls' match was shit.
Which one?
It was terrible.
Which one?
That one where they were all in the ring running around. But I didn't even get the gist of it.
Was it the tag team match?
Is that what it was? 6-man tag?
Yeah.
The 6-man tag, right? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I want to get into this because like the whole Lita getting hurt thing, and then stupid. I can't stand this 6 women tag team match. It makes me so much more mad. Now.
Terrible. Their timing was all off.
It was it was just horrible all over together. Like the booking, everything going about it. The match itself wasn't good. Like
no, it was
no,
goddamn abortion. That's what it was. It was an abortion.
It was terrible. It was terrible. All right, Ruby, get us back on track.
Yeah. At least not all of today's wrestling is bad. Like you said, I will agree that triple threat, those guys were not holding back when it came to chops, when it came to the throwing strikes. So, I mean, but kudos to those 3 guys.
We need more of that. More of that.
Yeah, more of that, please.
That kind of reminded me when Greg or Johnny Valentine and Wahoo McDaniel.
Oh my goodness!
Would work together. When those guys got back to the locker room, their chests would be busted open, blood everywhere. And I like working with John. I did a program with Johnny Valentine for about 5 months, and he liked to lay it in. I mean, man, I popped him, probably 20 times a night. Wahoo loved to lay it in. Oh, and I beat the shit out of both of them, and they loved it. They loved it. So they beat the shit out of me, too.
Right.
Yeah. But we had some real wars down there in the old Crockett promotion. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I beat Wahoo for the Mid-Atlantic title, didn't I? I don't know if you did.
I had to go back on my stats to find out who you beat, but
yeah, I beat Wahoo, and I think I beat Johnny Valentine for the title too at different times.
Oh yeah. You had separate occasions. I know you had it at least twice for the Mid-Atlantic title, but could you imagine going? I mean, you could you imagine going all out on one night and match? You go to like an arena on the next. On the next night, and you're going in, and people wonder why your chest looks like a pound of ground beef. It beats so bad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the people knew it was for real. I mean, they could see it, they could hear it, and they could feel it. I'll tell you, they no holds bar every night. And I think that's why we all drank a lot.
It's a possibility.
That could be a possibility, but but those, like I say, your time in the NWA was really good. I mean, your Mid-Atlantic, and of course your St. Louis Wrestling Club. I mean, we were working with Sam. You held the end of your Missouri State title. You had 2 reigns there. Working with Sam, and like you said, and I'm glad you said that about Sam, because that's pretty much the entire. I mean, out of all the opinions I've gotten or the stories about Sam, it's himself. I have not heard a bad word, and I'm good that we've got that even flow. That there's been no ripple of anything disturbing that, and I mean, from what that guy had brought, I mean. If I could have been there that night, I mean, I was only like 6 at the time, but man, that Checkerdome was packed to the rafters in that old arena.
That was the largest crowd in the history of the Checkerdome.
Right.
Yeah, and that was on radio. Bob Costas and Dan Deerdorf were on the radio, and that was the first radio cast of a professional wrestling in like 34 years at that time. I mean, that went worldwide. That thing was worldwide. Yeah.
I believe it. I mean, for a guy that was NWA president for 41 years, and to hold the statute of to hold the statute of.
I can hardly. You have to get a little closer to the mic.
Okay.
I can. Yeah.
Is that a little bit better for you? I'm sorry.
Oh, that much better.
Okay. Yeah. So just for statute of limitations that Sam had actually put as an example of how a wrestling promotion should run and how it should be respected. I mean, Sam. I mean, he's pretty much the standard on how a business should be ran in the industry, at least in my opinion, for all I've seen.
It was a high standard, very high standard. Yeah.
Or I dare say the gold standard. I mean, or platinum, whatever, because nothing touches what he done.
Yeah.
As far as as a promoter. So and then of course you going back to the year of from Survivor Series 87 to SummerSlam 88 to Vince Jr. to where obviously you didn't have the best of relationships there, and you know of how some people were in this business, but you don't remember their names, and it just goes to show that you really make a mark when you do something right, when you do something respectful, when you do something positive in this business, then people remember you for what you do. So,
yeah.
Sure, yeah, well, yeah, there's a couple of a-holes in the locker room, don't remember who they are exactly, because all they're there is to deter you from what you're trying to do positive in this business. So,
yeah.
But after you left the WWF after SummerSlam 88, going back into your profile again, you returned home basically to the AWA. Had two different tag team title reigns, one with the Crusher Jerry Blackwell, and then one with Brad Reagans. So how did it feel? Kind of do a I guess a circle bout to coming back to where you first started and working with Vern again. And I mean, did it pretty much rejuvenate your drive to be in the wrestling business after your disappointment with Vince to come back and work with Vern again?
No, and I'll tell you why. When I got back here, I got a phone call from Ray the Crippler Stevens and Wahoo McDaniel. And they were working for Vern at the time in the office. They were doing the booking.
Oh.
And Ray said that Wahoo thinks that you might want to still do something in the wrestling business. I said, tell you the truth, Ray, I washed my hands of it when I left the WWF. But there's a catch there. I'll give you an idea. I'm opening up a health club here in St. Paul, Minnesota in a couple months. And I think it'd be great if I came back, as long as I'm able to promote my health club on the show, because you guys have a hell of a rating. He said, well, we did have a hell of a rating. We have no rating anymore. It's gone. He says, we don't do any big shows anymore. We wrestle in outdoor softball fields and grade school gymnasiums. I said, what the fuck happened? He said, well, Vern should have sold the business to Vince. Excuse me. Should have sold the business to Vince McMahon a couple of years ago when Vince offered him to buy him out. But Vern was stubborn and thought he's not going to sell out to anybody, especially some asshole from New York City. And after what he went through to build this territory up, it was a hell of a territory at one time. It was, I'd say, Crockett Promotions, WWF, and AWA were the three top promotions for, about a 10-year run, maybe 12 years. But Vern, he got stubborn and wouldn't sell. And I told him, I said, Vern, you made a big mistake. Because if McMahon wants to, he can legitimately put you out of business. He'll never put me out of business. Well, next thing you know, he's got Mean Gene Okerlund, the announcer. He's got Bobby Heenan. He's got Hulk Hogan. He's got Ken Patera, and about 10 other main eventers, and we all left. Now, I had been in New York 2 other times prior to that. I had already been Intercontinental Champion. I had already wrestled Vern Gagne, or Bruno. Vern Gagne. I had all wrestled Bruno about 30 times in all the big arenas, 3 times each. And then when Bobby Backlund got the belt, I thought I was going to get the belt because Bruno wanted to drop it to me because he wanted to get out of wrestling. He'd been in wrestling for 20 years at that time. And he wanted to drop the belt to me. He was a big Ken Patera fan, as I was. I was a big Bruno fan. Well, it didn't work out. And so anyway, I was still at that time, back in the late 70s, early 80s, I get a call from a kid from St. Louis by the name of Larry Matisick. You guys remember Larry?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Larry and I became very good friends. And I bet I talked to Larry twice a week for 8 years straight. Even after I wasn't going to St. Louis anymore. And but we just became good friends. And I always loved going to St. Louis. St. Louis was probably out of the top 5 cities that I liked to wrestle in. St. Louis was one of them. I loved Kiel Auditorium. I loved going to the Checker Dome. There's just everything about St. Louis fit me just perfect. And I had some of my greatest matches in St. Louis. And the girls weren't bad either. And man, I'll tell you, yeah. Sam Mushnick had built a powerhouse down there. I mean, everybody wanted to go to St. Louis. I remember wrestling Lou Thez in Houston, Texas at Sam Houston Coliseum. I wrestled Lou Thez. He was 58 years old, and he moved around like a 20-year-old.
Oh, and
we went 2 out of 3 falls. I got my hand raised. And after we got back to the locker room, I asked Lou about St. Louis. Lou told me that St. Louis was the town that put him on the map, back in the 30s, 30s, I think it was, mid-30s. But yeah, Lou says loved St. Louis. Did he grow up down in that area?
I know he billed himself from St. Louis. I'd have to see where he actually grew up, and I mean, I believe he ended up living around at some part, but I know he billed himself from the town.
Okay.
So,
yeah, but he loves Sam Mushnick.
Here's the
answer.
answer.
You try to get down there to St. Louis as often as you can, because Sam Mushnick will take care of you.
Well, with that being said, and the great love for St. Louis that it seems like the majority of us has, Ruby lives in and near around St. Louis. I mean, that's where we used to go when I was a kid for vacations and stuff. So I remember watching wrestling down there when I was younger. May 13th, just 4 weeks away, you get to come back to the St. Louis area.
Yeah.
For the big SICW Fan Fest and the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremonies that you were once inducted in yourself back in 2015.
Yeah.
Tell us some about the memories of the wrestling at the Chase and what it did for your career, and that kind of stuff. How all this is coming back together to be a great celebration once again for 64, right?
Yep.
So
Since when?
64 years of wrestling
Yeah.
at the Chase.
Well, the guy you have to thank for that is Herb Simmons.
We do every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank Herb Simmons for this. Because if it wasn't for Herb Simmons, this probably wouldn't even take place. I mean, he works his ass off. He's promoted St. Louis wrestling as well as any town can be promoted. He lives and breathes St. Louis wrestling, St. Louis anything. And I appreciate Herb Simmons. He's the one that got me down there to the St. Louis Hall of Fame. What was that, 2015?
Yes, sir.
It?
Yep,
Yeah,
2015.
Yeah. And God, I had a wonderful time down there, and getting inducted. And people say, God, why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? I said, I am in the Hall of Fame. St. Louis Hall of Fame, Cleveland High School Hall of Fame, the high school I went to in Portland, Oregon. The first Hall of Fame I was ever inducted into was the Weightlifting Hall of Fame, Helms Foundation, Weightlifting Hall of Fame. I was the quickest one to ever be inducted into the Weightlifting Hall of Fame. I was inducted before, right after the 72 Olympic Games over Munich. So when I got home, I had the big plaque in the mail. The thing was huge. I still have it here. So it's in a box or something. Like all my trophies and stuff, The house I live in now, I built this a year and a half ago. And I moved. I was living in St. Paul, Minnesota, and now I live in Hinckley, Minnesota. It's 100 miles north of the Twin Cities. And I bought some property up here, built a big house. My daughter and her family, they live on the west end. I live on the east end.
There you go.
So I have a beautiful apartment here on the east end of my house, and so it's a nice gig. I just got tired of living in St. Paul, Minnesota. I had sold my gym, back in what year was that? I opened it up in 89 and I closed it in 97. And then I started a wrestling school like Harley had down there. And I did that for 3 years. I ran about 60, maybe 70 guys through that camp at $3,500 a pop. And I promoted about 40, an average of 40 shows a year. And I did mostly a lot of casinos, guaranteed, $30,000 and $35,000 promotions. And so, and I did a lot of colleges, a lot of high schools, a lot of Lions Club, Elk Clubs. I did all kinds of stuff. I even did several churches. You believe that?
I believe it.
Hey, the Lord likes wrestling too.
Yeah, the Lord loves wrestling. I probably did a dozen churches in that 3 year.
Well, we'll actually get to ask the wrestling god himself May 13th if he likes wrestling.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, May 13th.
JBL, the wrestling guy, one of my favorites.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Where's that going to be held at?
So we're looking at the Aviator Hotel and Ballroom. That will be on Saturday, May 13th. So that's going to be a 692 South Wimberg, down in the southern county of St. Louis, Missouri. That's where we're looking at. And
Okay.
all this, I know I've got it here somewhere.
I was gonna say you have a poster somewhere.
Yeah, I'm always trying to pull something up here or pull something out of wherever.
We're going to have a meet and greet and sign autographs and all that stuff too. On that during the day, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
all the festivities, start at 10 a.m. Like you said, I mean, there's just a ton of guys that are gonna be here. I mean, Jimmy Hart's gonna be here. The Ace Cowboy Bob Orton, of course, that's from around here. He'll be here.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce Barbecue Beefcake. Gerald Briscoe, of course, one of the two guys that are getting inducted into the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame, and of course, James J. Dillon, it being the other. And like I said, there's just a ton of guys that are going to be here. John Nord, the Berserker, he's going to be here. I know John Nord did a lot of work with him, and of course, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. Of course, a man over here is stoked up because he's going to get his $1 Million Championship signed finally, hopefully by Ted.
The greatest title ever made, right there. No.
Yeah.
And the Nasty Boys. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. Spike Huber, Bobby Fulton of the Fantastics, Teddy Long. I mean, Tugboat Typhoon, Shockmaster, whatever you want to call him. But Fred Ottman will be there.
Tugboat.
And what about Stan Hansen? I mean, talk about another tough guy that was rough and tough, man.
Stan's going to be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just watched his match with Vader.
Oh my goodness!
Where in New Japan, where where Vader had to take the mask off because he almost lost his eye, dude. Chase and I were like, "Oh my god!" I've seen the match once before, but still, that match just.
Yeah. Stan's a good. I had Stan's first professional wrestling match in Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah, he had tried out. I think it was for the Chicago Bears, and injured his knee in training camp. So he dropped out, got his knee operated on, and so it was about 2 months later. Here I'm wrestling him in Fort Worth, Texas, at the old stockyards, and he says, "Kenny." He said, I said, "How many matches have you had?" He said, "This is my first one." I said, "Really?" And then he told me about the football injury. He says, "Please don't hurt me. Don't hurt me." I said, "You won't even know you're in the ring with somebody." So we went in there and went about 12, 15 minutes or so. After we got back to the locker room, he thanked me 100 times for not hurting him. And I said, "I told you I'd take good care of you." He said, "Yeah, you did." He said, "But I didn't know what to expect. I'd never had a wrestling match before." He said, "Thank you very much." And I think he thanked me again about a year ago. Now, another guy that I helped break into the business was Bruiser Brody.
Yes.
And he was from San Antonio, and he asked me one day. He says, "Ken, whenever you're in San Antonio, could you stop by my mother's house or by my grandmother's house and stay there overnight?" And because it's kind of a rough neighborhood, and she passed away. The house is vacant. I just hate to have some asshole break in there and bust the place up. So I did that for Frank. For those that don't know, his real name is Frank Goodish. And
Right.
yeah, when I met him, he was just starting to break in a little bit with Fritz von Erich up in Dallas. And so I took Frank on the circuit with me several times just to acclimate him to to what he was getting himself into. And he loved it. And, he was a musclehead, loved lifting weights. And, he's a big guy. He was 6'5", and he loved wrestling. And he had followed my weightlifting career, and so he knew all about Ken Patera, and so we hit it off real good. We became very good friends, and then a few years back, I met his wife Barbara at the Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas, there at the Gold Coast.
Yep.
And I told her some stories about Frank and I going up and down the highway in Texas when he was a rookie trying to get into the wrestling business. And I told her all about that. So she appreciated that. And so it was fun. Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
Nice lady. And she'll be here at this thing too.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had her and Herb on 3 weeks ago?
About 3 weeks ago, we had
3 weeks ago.
We had Barbara and Herb on.
Yeah, we got to meet her.
Oh,
Real
great.
nice lady.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice lady. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
I mean, it's always nice to talk to Herb.
Yeah, Herbie Simmons. God, too bad we lost Larry Matisick. Larry was a great promoter, and he loved Sam Mushnick. And of course, Sam's the one that got Larry started in the wrestling business, working in the office. And Larry just loved working for Sam Mushnick in the wrestling office. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because we're going to be, like I said, this whole battle royal that's going to go on, like I said, it's on May 13th. We're having this fan fest, and we're having this St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Then, of course, we're having a big show of wrestling, where we are going to be having the Bruiser Brody, Larry Matisick, Tony Costa, which has been a local promoter around here for many number of years, and then is no longer with us. A battle royal in their honor, and then of course, there'll be a cup presented, of course, that at the end of that. Gosh, I don't know how many. There's at least maybe 18, or probably at least 20 guys that have at least signed up. Maybe close to 25, if I have to, if I calculate correctly. I know who one of them is.
It's
and
you.
One of them speaking right now. So I'm going to be in that battle royal. So
are you?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
So and I'm looking forward to it, and to that ballroom, and to that night, and then of course, here's one thing I wanted to ask here on your opinion too, because I know you have one of these matches as well. Because the main event that night is going to be Attila Khan, the defending champion, the SICW Classic champion, defending against the Big Texan, and it was decided last week that it's going to be Texas Death Rules for that match. And I know, at least I read somewhere, that you actually had a Texas Death Rules match with Bob Backlund. So
what? That'd be a dope match.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you remember, or at least can you tell us anything in regards to the Texas Death Rules? Because I'm also going to get the poster up here if I can before the end of the night, but make sure everybody that's viewing, make sure you watch SICW All Star Wrestling tonight, 8 p.m. Central, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you look it up. Um, uh, um, Herb is going to actually be talking with Dory Funk Jr. in regards to the history of the Texas Death Rules match. But how was your experience with the Texas Death Rules match, that at least in the ones that you've competed in, Ken?
Well, the rules I remember in the Texas Death Match, there were no rules. Yeah,
That is the rule.
yeah, that is the rule. Punch, kick, gouge, bite, pull the hair, do whatever you want. And you get thrown over the top rope, land on the floor. There'd be guys out there to throw your butt back in the ring, and then you just keep on punching and kicking and stomping, gouging, biting. It doesn't matter. And it's a street fight. And so I hope those guys, who's involved in that again?
We have Big Texan on one side, and then Attila Khan on the other side.
Well, I hope they hate each other.
Oh, they do.
Because if they don't hate each other, they'll hate each other when the match is over.
I mean, Big Texan said it best when it got announced. Thank you, Tyler, by the way, for posting this, so I can say this. But he said there's only one match that can end this rivalry, this feud, and it's the Texas. These two men are going to hurt each other, and that's what they do for fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two mammoth of men. And one will come out.
Yeah, that's right. That's how it should be. One guy is still standing at the end. He walks out. The other guy usually gets carried out or drug out by his ankles.
I mean,
And,
I feel this match is going to be hard to tell who the victor really is.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Well, there's going to be one guaranteed victor. That's going to be the fans watching all of this. They're gonna,
I can't wait to be there.
Great main event. I'll tell you that. That's going to be a very that's to be for certain, and that's going to be one to actually kind of keep your eyes peeled to with that. So
yeah. So yeah.
So getting this thank you here from Herb, thanking you, and St. Louis loves the world's strongest man, Ken Patera. So Ken will definitely be one of the 40 legends that will be with us here on May 13th. And you'll definitely make sure we're going to be we'll be there all day out in the lobby as everybody comes in and greeting everybody, and hopefully we'll be able to get maybe getting some of the legends to talk with us, with the crowd that comes in, and we'll just see how that pans out. We're really looking towards working towards that. But I definitely want to thank Ken Patera here tonight, or today, I should say. I'm always used to saying tonight because my brain's still on vacation yet again. But no, Ken, I can't really thank you enough for joining us here on the Falls Count Everywhere podcast, sharing your great stories. Definitely got to not pull any punches, that's for sure. He'll let you know how he feels. So, oh yes,
that great book, by the way.
Yes, that's out now, right?
Yeah, have you guys read it?
I was reading a preview of it on the Amazon thing because it's in my wish list thing. It's actually to get purchased.
Yeah, it just came out on April Fool's Day, April 1st. So it's been out for 2 weeks. The response has been phenomenal. And you can order this on several different websites. Could you guys post this up for me?
Yeah.
Actually, we're going to. I'll go ahead and get a photo of that here, and
Mighty Bill.
I'll definitely get a photo of this here for you here in just a moment, and then we'll get that taken care of.
Yeah, you can get it on WOHW website, Walking on Hot Waffles, and you can order it through Amazon. And there's 4 or 5 websites. You get it on my website, and which is Ken Patera 43 at gmail.com. And the response has been phenomenal. Ric Flair wrote the foreword. He put me over like $1 million, like he should have. Yeah, Rick and I have been friends since 1971. And God, he used to bug the shit out of me to get him into pro wrestling when we were living together. And so I got him lined up with Vern Gagne. And so it turned out beautiful. Ric Flair, myself, the Iron Sheik, Jumping Jimmy Brunzell, Greg Gagne, Bob Bruggers. There are 6 of us. And when I don't know, for the wrestling fans that remember, Ric Flair was involved in an airplane crash, and the pilot died. It ended Johnny Valentine's wrestling career, broke his back so bad, and Bob Bruggers broke his back and ended his career. And then Rick, he broke his back, and he was out for 5, 6, 7 months at that time. Doctors told Rick that he'd never wrestle again. Well, he fooled them, and Rick came back better than ever. And so it was good. It was having an airplane crash is never good, but it was just one of those unfortunate things. I was supposed to be on that airplane that day, but the booker, George Scott, took me off and sent me to Roanoke, Virginia that day. I was wrestling Tony Atlas up there. And so instead of going to Wilmington, North Carolina on the airplane, I drove up to Roanoke, Virginia, and we were all in the locker room. And Gene Anderson of the Anderson brothers, he came in the locker room, says, "Hey guys, I got bad news. The airplane that was going to Wilmington crashed prior to the landing strip there at the airport in Wilmington. And we don't have any idea if anybody got injured or anything like that." Of course, the next day, we all found out what had actually happened. So, yeah, that was a horrible. Yeah, I should have been on that plane, but, as fate has it, like I tell everybody, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. Well, that was one of my lucky days. One of the few. Yeah.
Right. So, like you said, there's a picture of the cover of the book, Ken Patera, Weight of the World. Like I said, it was released. 15 days ago on April 1st. There's actually a QR code that's up in the top left-hand corner of the screen. So for those who want to go back and watch the replay of this, go ahead and go. That QR code will take you right to Ken Patera's book on Amazon. If you'd like to purchase that, go ahead and look at your options there to get the book. Once again, it's Ken Patera, Weight of the World. Like I said, it just covers everything, through his career, with weightlifting, definitely a lot of it with wrestling. Of course, good picture here on the cover with you with the old school Mid-Atlantic heavyweight title.
Yeah, that was it.
And back in the late 70s. So, like I said, it's a sharp looking belt back in those days, good picture there. And, Ric Flair writing the foreword on that. So,
yeah,
man does everything.
yeah. It's an easy read. I've had a half a dozen people call me and tell me that was the best wrestling book that they ever read, that it flowed so nice. I have many chapters in there, and they're short and snappy, and it's almost 500 pages, but it's a quick read. A friend of mine from New Jersey ordered it from Amazon, got it in 2 days, and he read it in 2 days. He says, Ken, I started reading that darn thing. I couldn't put it down. And I said, well, God bless you. Yeah, but I start from when I was a little kid, like 4 years old, and ran right through my whole career. And I didn't drag anything out. And so it was, quick and to the point, very informative, a lot of fun, and a lot of interesting things in there. And I think people really enjoy it.
Right. Now, I guess question begs here, will they somehow be able to get a physical copy if they come to the Big Fan Fest on May 13th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
So
I'll have books for sale there, and I can autograph them. And if they want me to write something special there, I'll be able to do that. Where, if you order it off Amazon or any of the websites, they won't have that opportunity.
right.
So, yeah. So if you can order the book. The book, it only takes 2 or 3 days to get.
Right.
Right.
But it'd be easier if you bought the book at the event that we're having there in St. Louis at the Aviator Hotel.
Yep. Over here, Aviator Hotel and Ballroom. That's where it's going to be held at. And
so if you buy the book from me, I can personalize it to you. And that's the best way to do it, I think.
Check. That's what I'm doing. Mine's getting taken out of my Amazon cart.
Yeah. And look at that. Herb's already trying to button mine right up to the front, which is deservedly so. He says I'll buy his first one that day if he signs it. So.
Oh yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So Herb's already buttoned up to the front of the line.
Not fair, man.
Hey, the man's got over 50 years of the business. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's true. I'm not going to stop him.
Yeah,
right.
Beautiful. Okay.
Well, we're going to keep like you said, make sure you come back here. Weight of the World, Ken Patera, please make sure. Like I said, you guys are going to be really missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with all the different types of stars that are coming in, old school, a few new school, some out of the different territories, and Miz can button.
That's right.
She's already.
My dude got me.
He's like, you get right behind me, though. But yeah,
that's fine. That's fine.
But make sure that you're taking the opportunity here because, the interesting stories that I've seen and your accolades and everything else, and with everything in between, I'm sure is written in this book, and people people will be missing out on a good read if they don't get Weight of the World, the true Ken Patera story, right here. And
Yeah.
if you don't get it before before the May 13th, make sure you get it on May 13th when you see Ken Patera, and he'll personally sign it for you. He'll personalize it. So make sure you're doing that. Um, but as of this time, I'm going to thank once again Ken Patera for everything that you shared with us here for us today, giving up your time, and we're really looking forward to seeing you here in about 4 weeks. We'll definitely cross paths again. Definitely do a personal shaking of the hand, and just definitely wish you the best luck, and also the safest of travels. Everybody that's traveling down here to St. Louis, please be safe, um, and just get here safely. That's all we ask. And man, uh, so it was a thrill for me because, like I said, and we've talked. I was watching. In the starting in the mid '80s. I had to go back once I got a chance to look at some tapes and all that, but I remember Ken Patera, and I remember Bobby Heenan giving you all the grief on prime time, and
Oh yeah.
it was good for me. I was like, oh, I hope he wrings his freaking neck. Maybe a little kid was like, God, I wish that Weasel would shut up. You know,
Yeah.
some good things here. Zach, any party words for Mr. Patera before we let him go?
This has been an awesome journey today, and I thank you for your time and your great stories. For the young buck in the room, I'm glad to hear the history of wrestlers being told still. I'm very big into this. There's a reason Herb has a love for me, and I'm gonna promote that because I promote what I love, and that is professional wrestling. So I do thank you for your time today, sir.
Beautiful. Thank you guys. I appreciate it, and I had fun. And look forward to the 13th.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a good one. I'm pumped.
Yeah, it will be.
It's going to be a great day. Ken, once again, we thank you very much for your time, and you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you here in about a month. All right.
Okay, guys.
Have a good one, like a man.
Have a good one. Okay.
You too, Ken. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I didn't mean to cut him off. I am sorry. That's right.
Wait, he's such a nice guy that you cut him. We love you, Ken. You're amazing.
And I'm sorry. When you see me, you can put me in a headlock and noogie me, okay? Look, see? At least you won't have any hair to worry about, okay? You're good. There you go. So sorry. I'm so rude.
So Jakai here, one of my kids from Teen Reach. Okay, so for one, he made mention of my cup. Yes, I use Belly Ease cups all the time for my thing to promote what I do in my personal life. But he wants to know where it is at again. So that is the Aviary Hotel down in in St. Louis again, because
so it's going to be in St. Louis County, Aviator Hotel at 6921 South Limburg. Let me see if there's even an address on the post. I'm pretty sure there is. Let me make sure I got the right one here. Let's see. It just says Aviator Hotel and Ballroom. Okay. So I'm going to go and try to get that poster shared again. Let's see. Where's the window? There we go. So there we go. There it is. Aviator Hotel and Ballroom. Like I say, you can get your tickets online, sicw.org. That's where you're going to get for everything. FanFest. Like I said, once again, I must stress, when you go to the website, there is a separate ticket for the FanFest, and there's a separate ticket for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony with the wrestling show following thereafter. So those are two separate events. There is a package deal, like I said, and I'll tell you right offhand, from when I last checked, it's $27 for either or for those two events, or you can purchase the combo pack, $42 a ticket. Okay. And honestly, with all these stars coming in and everything that's going on that night, for an entire day of $42, You really can't beat the price for it. You really can't. So
No.
I have seen, and trust me, going on because I've seen other fan fest gatherings, whatever, get together. Um, you really are getting to steal with this. So I mean, with all these legends that are on here, so make sure you make it a point to get here on May 13th. You definitely don't want to miss any part of that at all. So, like I said, it's been it's been a great talk with Ken Patera. Once again, away to the world, and yeah, it's just great, great, great stuff here. And once again, QR code I'm going to leave up here for about another 10 seconds or so. Then we'll take it down here. Once again, weight of the world, Ken Patera, making sure if you are coming down to the Fan Fest, my suggestion here, you wanted something autographed and signed, to wait till you buy the book in person at the Fan Fest here, and then he'll sign it. But if you can't make it for whatever reason, please get a QR reader, view that QR code. It'll take you right to Ken's book, Weight of the World, on Amazon, where you'll get it roughly about 2 or 3 days. So, yeah, definitely make sure you're taking advantage of that. And also, so digressing, we were talking about the Texas Death Match, okay? This is tonight, 8 p.m. on SICW All Star Wrestling. Herb Simmons and Dory Funk Jr. discussing the history of the Texas Death Match, how that all came about, how it's one of the most dangerous matches in the world of wrestling, at least in my hand. I mean, other than dangerous wrestling matches. Okay, don't even get me as involved with death matches and how you want to lay yourself on a bed of nails, or you want to crash through a row of light tubes. Get that out of here. I don't want to hear it. Okay, death matches, I don't want it. Just don't give it to me. But that's the debate for another way. I was Sir Z's like, now wait a minute.
I'm not a death match. Like, no. Moving on.
Thank you. Moving on.
I like a good hardcore match. Okay, like I'm cool with like weapons and all that stuff. I'm cool with blood and all that stuff, but like there is too much.
Yeah,
and
where it comes to that.
Yeah, it's a very fine line in that kind of world if you're going to play in that world, and when you're doing it over and over and over again, it means nothing. So there's no value in it in my eyes because of that.
Right, exactly. Well,
but now Texas Death Match,
yeah,
that's where the big boys come to play.
Yeah, so I mean, now I'm interested to hear about this because I've seen different rules about this. Because from what I thought is that you, of course, it's anything goes, weapons are involved, but from what I understood, and maybe someone could school me on it, for the ones I've seen, is that you pin your opponent, but then they also have to stay down for the count of 10. I don't know if that's the rule that's implemented. I know I've seen that rule, but I'm interested to even watch this tonight to see, how the rules are going to be involved with this Texas Death Rules match between Attila Khan and the Big Texan. Okay,
I kind of like that match style. Not gonna lie.
No. I mean, I wish there were more of it, honestly. But I mean, there's got to be a purpose for it.
Right.
But I love it either way.
I mean, man. I quoted Big Texas a little bit loosely about how there was only way for this one match to end, and that we're getting ready to see it May 13th.
Right. Now you do know that the Big Texan has a pinfall over Attila Khan here about a few months back.
Right.
During a 6-man elimination tag match.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's already set up. Like,
yeah, he cleaned house pretty much, and he was the last one to go. And let me tell you, all right, that man hits you with the lariat, you feel it, and you will stay down if you and look at the lights, even for at least the count of 3. Not from a guy who's taken it a few times. Attila knows what I'm talking about if he's listening. So let me tell you something. Weapons or not, he hits you with that lariat with full force, the way he's going to hit you, you're not getting up. So it's game over, in my opinion. Texan hits the lariat. He's coming out as SICW Classic Champion. I'm calling. So, I'm going to say no. Attila prove me wrong and see if he can kick out. You're a tough man. Attila's a tough man.
I was going to say, you can't take away Attila's toughness.
No, not at all. Attila's a very tough man, but I'll tell you what, that lariat is a force to be reckoned with. He knows it. I know it. There's many superstars that will tell you otherwise that are looking up at the lights for at least 15 seconds. There you go. What about weapons? Yeah, of course. I bring my own weapon. There it is.
Because it's the gun show. Oh, wait. Sorry.
The ultimate gun show. Getting ready to pull the trigger, man. Oh, my goodness. So, yeah. But I'm just saying, Attila beware. That's all I got to say. Because if you don't, it's probably going to cost you. So.
I mean, I'm not saying Texans was never hungry, but there's another level of hunger now in Texas's voice. So,
oh yeah, especially if you were there at the show last weekend at the Belclair Fairgrounds, which I was, and hearing the announcement of the Texas Death Match, he knew, he had it in his mind, and all he just had to do is he had to get that victory, and now he's like, okay, now it's on. So
right.
now he's coming prepared. So there you go. And I'll tell you what, it's gonna be a knockdown drag out. That's all I gotta say.
It's gonna be mean. I can't wait to watch.
It's gonna be mean.
This kind of match is why I'm still a fan of wrestling. Just so you know, like this is not this style, but like just these kind of matches, these kind of build-ups, these kind of adventures. Like we've watched this for what now? A better part of a year build to this.
At least, yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
this is what things are made of.
Exactly. Right. And we're not talking about, well, Cena and Rock did it back when they announced the main event. Like that's something different. The Rock goes away, does movies, and he comes back. Okay, you ready now? No, that's not the whole thing. You got to stay involved in the entire story.
Grind
it. Time. Don't call in and do like some type of spot promo via satellite. It's not the same.
Could you see Texas?
Yeah, I'm here on my ranch.
Oh, great. I'm done with that.
Yeah, I just got done roping the Brahma Bull, and no. Oh no! Well, who knows? Hey, you never know. There you go. It takes time. It takes time. Those are the 3 key words. It takes time.
And everyone knows a good Texan likes a hunt.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Not just in deer season either. So, oh my gosh. So make sure you're tuning in tonight once again. SICW All-Star Wrestling. You can catch them on SICW Wrestling Explosion on Facebook, SICW Wrestling on YouTube. Make sure you're finding a chance to watch this. I mean, a legend in Dory Funk Jr. talking with a legendary promoter, Herb Simmons. Don't miss it, guys. Bottom line. Get out there and watch it tonight. But for those who are stuck around, guess what? We got some fun to do here at the end. You ready for this, Z?
Golden
Hell yeah. That's right. It's Wrestling's Gold Memes, everybody. And we didn't forget about you. No, we haven't. And trying to find some good ones here this week. Let's kind of start it off here.
I mean, the way it sounds like you should have literally found some just shitty ones of Vince and put them in the middle with
if
Ken.
I'd known how that was going to go,
would have been great. Like
we might do that. We might do that the day after this whole big fan fest. Because trust me, we're going to be recapping everything.
Can we bring Ken back out to the booth? We bring Ken back to the booth and we show him cards of Vince memes and get his reaction. Yes.
There you go. Hey, Ken, these are for you, buddy. Oh shoot! So
we're gonna get beat up.
Our first one here, man. Oh yeah, we get 13 bush lights deep, and someone says Carol didn't feed her husband to the tigers.
Oh, Papa Miz.
Yeah, Papa Miz. That's what he said right there. No, he didn't. Oh my gosh, no.
Wait. Hold up. Can that be a thing?
What?
Read what Texan just put.
Let's see. Oh, what?
Yes! Make it, Herb, make it happen. Make that one happen. Oh my God.
If Dory Funk Jr. would be the special guest referee, I don't know oh my gosh. I mean, from the family who created that match,
Right.
for him to look at and him to be part of that. Oh, dude.
Oh,
Talk about that.
Oh, that's the sugar on top right there. That's the whole cake coming together and to be baked.
Right.
Oh.
Exactly.
In honor of Texan, I vote yes.
Hey, I second it. Let's go. Let's make it happen, man.
Let's hear some more hears in the chat. Back to golden memes.
Let's agree. Oh my gosh, what do we got next? Oh yeah, right
Oh my God, I can't stand right back.
No, look at this though. Yay,
ice cream bars.
Oh my god. Oh my god. The guy gets on my nerves. This is the only reason I'm laughing, because we're making fun of him. That's the only reason.
He blocked me a long time ago on Twitter.
Oh my gosh. So like, hey, everybody go find Ryback on Twitter or whatever. Try to get the man mad, and then so we can have you blocked. But we'll try to see if we can kind of like, it's almost acting like a petition. Let's see who can get blocked by Ryback and see if we can.
I'm really mad that I don't have that shirt that CM Punk has, though, because that shirt is pretty sweet. We still won.
Yeah.
WWE, we still won ice cream bars, by the way. Like that idea never went away.
No, man. If you had it back in the day like I did, man, dude, those were good.
Dude, I couldn't wait for the ice cream truck to come around and get my WWE bar. I'm not gonna lie. That's the only way we got them. I mean, literally, the ice cream truck.
It was like a deluxe ice cream sandwich on a stick, dude. Dude, that
was baller.
Dude, yeah.
Things were great.
I loved it. Definitely loved it.
Ryback's face. He wants to come back, but nobody wants him. That's why I got That's why I got blocked.
This is what happens when you burn your bridge in the business.
He pulled
no one wants you once you make your bed and you lay in it. So good luck there, Skippo. Good luck there, Skip. No one wants you.
I told him so much for getting fed more.
Yeah, you need money to be fed more, buddy. So good luck with that.
Skip Sheffield was a great character, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, we were talking about Flair earlier. Be walking past the bags of rice at the supermarket.
So, funny story about this. This meme came to life for me. I've already previously seen this meme, but I was at the grocery store and somebody put a picture of Ric Flair. This picture slapping the rice and left it there and left. So I've seen it in real life.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Now before we get back here, this whole next thing is, if you watch WrestleMania and the whole on Sunday night, we all hear about what happened with Shane McMahon. So this whole next segment is going to be targeted toward Shane McMahon's WrestleMania 39 experience right here. So
I'm already ready.
So I hope you all are ready for it. Here we go. Well, first off, let's start with this. Hey, girl, are you a quad? Because I'm going to tear you up. So, but no, he's known to, it's Kevin Nash who's known to tear a quad. He's also been known to tear a quad. Let's see.
His dad.
His dad.
No.
his brother-in-law.
His brother-in-law. They're the Quad McMahons.
Yeah, the Quad McMahons. Oh my gosh, it's a good thing Steph got out of them when she did. So it should don't happen to her, you know. Oh my gosh. I can make that picture a little bit larger too, but oh well, I digress. Here we go. Now, this is something you sent to us. This is after the event had happened, and this is kind of, like Mufasa going down, and here's the little Simba.
It's so good. This literally, right after that whole thing happened, I'm on Twitter just scrolling, and that pops up. I'm like, I love you. It's so good.
Mufasa's down. Oh my god!
I'm going to hell.
Oh no, we've got some more. Here's a same energy meme. So with this, for those who know, you know. So, of course, Stewie beat down Brian there, and kind of like Miz showing off against the.
But Miz gets spun around and gets smacked one more time by Snoopy.
And we only got a couple more here that we'll kind of show, but this is on the actual point of where it happened. Fitting in some other athletes. How about a James Harden breaking, making pass toward the basket here? And oh my god, that's
so good.
But I feel bad for laughing, but I can't help but laughing. But
I mean, this is part of what wrestling is. Let's be honest.
Oh, and guess what, Z? For our final one, there's talk about a game rave back in the 2000s that's possibly going to be coming back to your systems. That's right. It's Dance Dance Revolution, everybody.
This is my favorite one of those. Oh my god, I love it. I do hope Shane is doing better and everything's good. And I know he probably is on the recovery track, but get well soon, Shane. Thank you for giving us the memes of WrestleMania.
Yes. Thank you, Shane. I mean, even though we didn't think your presence was needed at WrestleMania, but now after something that's happened, now there's a purpose. So sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Oh my goodness. But
How is it that Shane McMahon was the biggest blunder and it wasn't the fact that the celebrities were there?
Right. Oh my God. There is, well, I'll tell you here. Go ahead if you can find it, because I watch it on occasion. But the latest version or latest edition of Botchamania, episode 471, has got a whole reel about the cameraman getting involved. You know.
Okay, we're gonna have to watch that.
No, watch it, because I'm like, I can't believe, because if you think that these commentators are only getting and referees are only getting piped in their ears, if you think they're the only ones, no, think again.
Let's think of this. It makes sense that everyone is getting communication in WWE. Like, it makes sense. Why would it not make sense like that? Like, because they are trying to make a smooth show for all of us. And, like, you know, jokes aside, the cameraman trying to help keep the show going and all that stuff, man. And, like, I don't care if he's getting piped information or not, but, like, that's the shit that people forget about, or the people, because I'm going to prop my dad in them in the fact that when I worked on the road building stages and stuff, if it wasn't for the lighting guys, if it wasn't for the sound guys, if it wasn't for the, you know, when these bigger shows like that, no show. You need those guys. So, like, it's cool to see how all the pieces, and, like, I know people don't like it when the veil gets pulled away from wrestling. This is one of those moments that I think, like, it's really cool that it did a little bit break, you know, the crack, that we get to see that, hey, there's another moving piece there, kind of thing. Because I believe everybody makes the show the best thing. So
Right. It does. I mean, it also does leave people to guess that who's in production, guessing what the heck's going on.
right,
Um,
you don't know, like that's crazy. The amount of dedication between the communication there, how to perform it. Like Herb's can tell you. Look at the fan fest that we're getting ready to have. May 13th. Everything that goes into it. It's not just one person building the puzzle. It's
oh
this
yeah.
whole group and this whole formation of what Vince brought in, Triple H, whoever did, to bring the production to feature. So that camera guy passing off, and Snoop did give us one of the worst elbow drops of all time, and the running the ropes was atrocious. But for the man to be willing to see the cue and do it, super cool. Like, so all jokes aside, thank you to production.
Right. Right. Um. Yeah. Well.
Trish Stratus turning on Becky, by the way, is dumb. Becky and Lita getting the titles was dumb. The whole thing it's stupid.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's wrestling that it's not that greatest. So,
Here, Omos. Stupid, Becky.
yeah.
Stupid. Like, it did nothing for nobody.
Well, all it's going to do is going to lead up to Becky and Trish at Backlash. So,
My point is, it did nothing for nobody. Nobody went anywhere. What's
right.
Bailey doing now? What's Damage Control doing now? Like, it did nothing for nobody. Becky's still in the same position that she was before that whole feud.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that's annoying. Like, it's stupid.
But if you did pay attention back on Monday Night Raw, though, because of Becky trying to get, or Bailey trying to get a shot back at the Raw Championship, and Dakota and Io are kind of like, wow, why isn't it us? Why isn't one of us? Why has it got to be you?
Yeah.
So they're we're
Damage Control could have been a really cool female faction within WWE if done right, but they were not done right. They weren't promoted to be a faction. Right now, WWE got beat by AEW, and the Outcast is a way better faction than Damage Control ever thought about being.
Yeah, true.
That's my issue. When you had three great talents to put to the moon, you put them in a feud with Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, and Lita, which should have helped skyrocket. Like, if you wanted to turn Lita and that stuff, that's fine. Or Trish, that's fine, right? Okay, we could have done that and promoted Bailey and them with Bailey and Damage Control going over at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Why? And I'm such a promoter about female wrestling, I'm not going to look away from something that's stupid. You did nothing for the women.
Yeah. That it should have just been the experience of Lita and Trish coming back, but I totally agree.
It should have been that. That's what it should have been. It should have been like, you could have had Becky and them like hold it up, and then Lita and Trish would have just like decked Becky or something at the end. Like, and Damage Control had their way out. Now you do this. Like, now I want to know what's going to happen on Monday and stuff. Like, come on. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looked at like that when it comes to rocket science, but now we got to just kind of head. But now it makes us wonder here, and it's going to peel us back to watching the next week and see what happens. Which supposed to be well, yeah. Well, some of it I do.
I can't wait for Brock Cody. So,
right.
I am pumped for Brock Cody.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be something good too. So can't wait for that. Oh,
mainly
man.
to see what Brock we get.
What Brock do we get?
With that being said,
what a long afternoon we had, man.
Yeah.
A long interview with Ken Patera. That's pretty much what we had. We don't know we kind of have an idea of what we're going to maybe possibly do next week, but uh,
That's me. I want to talk about something in a minute. Continue.
no, oh, okay, but hey, less than 2 weeks for us. We get to go down and tear it up at the OzCon.
Oh man, it's gonna get busy for me for the next couple of months.
Right.
So
And there's I was actually talking or chatting with Scott Shipley, who is the promoter of the soon to be released new part of the Ozarks Wrestling League. If I could find that chat, there it is. and probably one of the topics. I'm going to leave this in your court. This is your homework, and we'll present it on
me
the
or
day of the show. Yes, you.
oh okay. I thought you were giving the
You
viewers
see,
homework. I'm like, why are you giving them homework?
Look, give me a one thing. One thing. You got one job.
Bring it on. Okay, what do you got? What do you got?
Okay. He said one topic ahead that he would think might be a good discussion, and since where we're going down to is how Comic Cons and wrestling are finally commingling, and how it's brilliant and perfect pairing between the world of wrestling and the world of these cons.
Okay.
And so there
So
you go.
he wants me to answer the question now, or
No, I'm gonna leave it to you because when we get down there, I mean, not in the kind of the interaction that we get after we're down there, kind of go at it then. We won't do it then, but I know that yeah, I know that there are some we talked about how there are some wrestling fans that come down to these things.
I mean,
And
I think it really just stems. I'm going to answer this now to my own thing, like my own opinion about it, if I can. Is that okay?
okay,
Do you go with that? So I think it comes down to this. Okay, that's for our good buddy, or at least one of my good buddies, my good
okay,
friends, Ricky Reyes. I don't know if you noticed on his. We've had him on the show, right? Um,
right,
him and one of his buddies, Kyle, started a podcast themselves called Podflex, and 3X's. They are definitely on the more loose term base side style. They hold no punches, basically. They go over all kinds of things from nerdiness to professional wrestling and all that good stuff. So go check them out. They're fun to watch. It is on the more adult side. Fair warning. That is disclaimer. Okay. But I like to support Ricky in all his ways, and I know he does me. So this is me rubbing. But on the question you asked, here's the real thing: is I think it's becoming more okay in the rest of the world of wrestling. One, on this side of the cosplay area, like if you notice, cosplaying wrestling has gotten to be like way bigger than it used to be, right? You're seeing a lot more Hogans and stuff, Macho Mans, and this, cosplaying your favorite wrestlers. Not that we didn't have it before, but like it's not dorky anymore to do that stuff. One of the big things from these cons are these cosplay things. So as the world of nerdism starts to emerge in on itself, because us nerds are going to rule the world at the end, and like it's always been that way, guys. And you're having this great mix. There's a lot of similarities with like the superhero-ness, the cartoonishness, the fun atmosphere that professional wrestling brings and the nerd world brings. So like it was about time for these two to merge and show the greatness. And like we're wrestling nerds. Like I'm a nerd for wrestling. And look, I got my toys, my action figures, my however you put them. I like to collect them. I like to look at them because like my favorite wrestlers and stuff or people I liked, or that's all that world's coming together. That's a beautiful mixture, and that's why the con's going to be amazing to be at.
yeah. It's definitely gonna be interesting to see who we can get. I mean, there are going to be some other wrestlers appearing there during when we're going to be there. Um, I know that they're talking about wanting us to go live and maybe present some type of show, but we'll have to do our homework on that. And because we're planning on doing like every Sunday all the way through. I mean, I don't think we're gonna have a break. So, um, we just got to go. We just got to go straight at it and keep going, man. See if we can fuel up on the way. That's all we got to do.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait.
Shoot, man. No, I'm looking forward to it, and like I said, looking forward to the Fan Fest. I mean, like I said, it's going to be.
This is what all of your hard work has done for both of us. Remember that. Be proud of that. You're freaking awesome, man.
Oh man, I'm just looking forward to it. Hey, we're gonna be 2 weeks. We're gonna be riding down in the same vehicle together.
Yeah, road trip, man. Falls can everywhere.
Road tripping, man. It's gonna be in the morning going down, and I don't know how much of a morning person you are, but
I hate mornings. I am not a morning person. I'm a night owl. Very much so.
So we're going to move Saturday Night Fever to Saturday Morning Fever, and we're going to be pumping up Studio 54 on the. No.
Well, I will be staying at Alan's house, so I will have an easier get up in the morning.
So thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan. So I'm going to stay with the great Tina and Alan and listen to that greatness and play and hang out and visit.
Yeah, you won't be able to go online with PlayStation.
Wait a minute, dude. I can travel with the PlayStation, and Alan has. We stayed at Alan's house. Me and the whole family, which oh my god was crazy one night, because listening to Tina and I have 4 kids, right?
Right. Oh yes.
And Tina's a germaphobe, and like I love Tina and Alan, but they were a great host, and. But Alan brought the TV in from outside for me, and him and I sat in the living room and played Ark with our buddies online.
That's funny.
No, I'll totally travel with my PS4.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
So.
Oh, but man, next weekend though, our focus there. Like, say you're going to be at Granite City, Illinois, for IEW. I'll be down here in South St. Louis and Belleville with American Championship Wrestling. So I will not be attending that show. Obviously, I
will miss you.
Yeah,
you always come to my shows to support me, and I appreciate you.
Hey, but somebody else wants me to be somewhere else and kick.
Yeah, go get paid.
Duty, so yeah,
go get paid. You ain't gonna hear me say no to that. I'd be there to support you if I live closer. Like,
that's all right, man. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. It's getting into the early evening now, so we're gonna
go cook dinner
here. And it's time for dinner for me. I've barely eaten anything all day, and I'm feeling it.
I had a good deli sandwich.
Yeah. So, everybody, thanks again for viewing in. Once again, this has been episode 97 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast featuring Ken Patera. Make sure you're getting that book, Weight of the World. If you're going to be down to the Fan Fest, why don't you wait to get it then, and then you can have Ken personally sign it for you. So, good stuff. So,
that's fine.
All right. So, for the Gem City Mouth, Zmiz, I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby. Thank you once again for another great viewing of Sunday here on the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. We'll see you next week, and have a good week, everybody. We'll love you guys. Yeah, see ya. Bye. Thanks again for tuning in to tonight's episode of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Don't forget our friends at the following: Outside the Ring STL, the Searcher and Hide podcast, and We Talk Wrestling. The Falls Count Everywhere podcast is an LTX Enterprises production.